I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't feel inspired anymore. And I just thought that maybe if I did this, if I sat down and shared some of the things that I've written, that maybe it would inspire me to write more, and maybe it would do other, I don't know. I don't always want to be the person that just posts a vlog every week. I want to do more creative things. Last week I tried to set up this very same sound mixer over in the shower so I could record 4 songs by Cher and do all these covers, and I thought that would be fun, and it wasn't. I got in there, it was a bitch and a half to set up. It made me sweaty as hell. I was dripping sweat because this goddamn house doesn't have air conditioning, and I was just tired of it. And I got in there, and by the end of it, I'm singing a clip in one of my vlogs saying creative pursuits are retarded to the tune of Believe by Cher. Creative pursuits are retarded. Now, I'm a fucking person who went to school to graduate in theater because I'm so fucking, such a creative person, or such, a person that wants to be creative and do creative pursuits, that's what I wanted to do so much that I went into debt, for $30,000 to get some degrees and still not have the damn degree. How could that person be the same person that said creative pursuits are retarded to the tune of Believe by Cher? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? I'm clearly, I'm not actually depressed, but it's just, what the hell is going on in the world, And on top of all that, acting isn't even a job anymore right now. So even if I wanted to do that still, which I'm pretty sure I do, but I just don't know how to make it possible. Even if that is the case, I just simply, it's not even an option right now. So I'm just sitting here at home in between working at Menards, and I've been writing stuff weeks ago, and that it was fun. I was challenging myself to write every day again, and that was fun. And I don't know, maybe if I do these sort of audio book kind of little story podcasts, just little short, no pressure podcasts where I just share things that I wrote, and maybe you like them. Maybe nobody's listening to this right now other than Taylor, and maybe, hi Nicholas, haha. But who knows? As I get older, I'm one of those people that's more cynical, and I'm like, who am I? Why do I need to have another podcast? Well, nobody's ever watched most of the content that I create anyway. So why make it? And the reason the reason that I'm doing this is just because I want to be inspired again, and maybe this will help me do that. So even if nobody's listening to this, and this is 3 listens, and even if this turns out to be a 1-episode podcast that lives on just on my laptop and doesn't ever get uploaded, well, maybe it's already making me feel a little bit inspired. So I'm going to get into it. The first story that I'd like to share is Christine, the bank teller. Christine opens her eyes. What did you just say? The balding man doesn't break eye contact as he spits in her face and yells, "Fucking ugly bitch," as security tackles him. Christine pulls out the vintage silk handkerchief her Nana gave her and wipes her face. It wasn't the first time a patron had spit in her face, and unless she suddenly found a new career path, it probably wouldn't be the last. It's not her fault that she couldn't give the man a personal loan, even if it was going to be used to pay his mortgage payments back to the same bank. Christine doesn't make bank policy, she merely enforces them. It also wasn't the first time a patron had used her physical appearance in a derogatory way either. Look, Christine isn't ugly, but she's not pretty by any standard. She's a bit overweight, and she's usually a little bit damp due to the heightened heart rate that comes from lugging around the additional junk in her trunk, and stomach, and thighs, and cheeks, and breasts, and elbows. Her first boyfriend told her that she was the most gorgeous girl in the world every time they made love, but when they broke up, he said it was because he'd met someone who was stunning. Christine took the mirrors down in her house and stopped combing her hair. "Christine, are you okay?" Janet, the other teller, asks. Holding back tears, Christine responds, "Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, Janet. By now, security had removed the belligerent patron and handed him over to the local sheriff, Deb Burchett. It didn't matter that they were in German Township and therefore not in the jurisdiction per se of Sheriff Burchett, because ultimately the sheriff was at the nearby Frickers and was the first to respond to the disturbance. Sheriff Burchett wasn't all that bad, but she did seem too old to be sheriff. Christine wasn't sure who she was going to vote for in the upcoming sheriff election to be held concurrently with the 2020 presidential election, but she did feel comforted knowing that Sheriff Burchett had escorted the man off the property. "I'd like to make a withdrawal," a man says as he comes up to the counter, throws down his ID and withdrawal slip. "Okay, sir," Christine says politely as she takes the man's slip and pulls up his account. When the screen loads, Christine sees that his account is overdrawn. She doesn't want to upset the man and get spit on again, so she ponders for a second and then changes the account number by one digit until she finds an account that has enough money to withdraw the man's request, $450, and processes the transaction. "Here you are, sir. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for choosing PNC on Upper Valley." She puts out her "Next teller, please" sign and darts into the bathroom. Rushing into the only stall, she shuts the door, pulls out her fidget spinner, and spins like there's no tomorrow. She isn't sure what's going to happen next. She considers telling her boss that she's made a mistake, sure that they would forgive her and refund the negligent account. But, she imagines, they will then try to take the money out of the other man's account, who will then become enraged and spit in her face. Gathering her courage, Christine exits the bathroom and returns to her teller window. She serves the next few customers, putting on her best behavior, and successfully handles them all. As the day dwindles and 5 o'clock approaches, Christine asks Janet to cover any incoming customers and promises to return if a line appears. Janet agrees, and Christine slips into the back room. Linda, the manager, always leaves by 3:30, and it was 4:23, so Christine was clear to reach into the lower cabinet and grab the vault key. Some might be surprised to find out that banks do actually still store physical cash and valuables in vaults, and Christine was going to do some wacky stuff to cover her tracks. She unlocks the vault and steps inside, pulling the door shut behind her. She thinks this will only take a few seconds, and therefore she won't draw any suspicion from Janet or the night custodian, Mark. Christine knows that there is a rich car dealer in town by the name of Mershon. And she's heard rumors in the past that Mershon has shady dealings with the drug cartel, and that his dealership is actually a front for a cocaine empire, and that he had bought off former Sheriff Gene Kelly, which prompted Christine to vote for local bingo security guard Deb Burchett to be the sheriff in the first place, inspired by the tenacity she displayed on the campaign trail, wearing out 2 pairs of shoes knocking on doors. Christine uses the master key to unlock Mershon's safety deposit box, which would absolutely get her fired if caught, and discovers inside 3 bricks of uncut, pure cocaine. That's not really what she's interested in, though, but it did make her feel personally vindicated for her 2016 vote for sheriff. She overturns the box, dumping its contents, and finds a wad of cash at the bottom of the stack. $10,000. She slides off $500 and puts everything back. She slips out of the back room just in time to see Janet swamped with the 4:45 p.m. rush. The people who just realized how late it is and that we close for whatever reason at 5 p.m. Christine jams the money deep in her back pocket and jogs back to her teller window. As Mark locks the door at the end of the night, Christine sends Janet home, promising to count all of the drawers and make sure everything is copacetic. She takes out the money from her back pocket and then processes 2 transfers. One for the man's overdrawn account in the amount of $50 and a full $450 refund for the account she'd stolen from. She prints out the till report and locks away the day's deposit for the Brinks truck the next morning and has Mark walk her to her car. The next morning, Linda, the manager, greets Christine at the door with Sheriff Burchett and some man she can only assume is Mershon. "Why don't you tell us what happened last night, Ms. DeBlow's Ivory?" Sheriff Burchett says firmly, seeming very sheriff-like and displaying leadership. Christine wasn't sure what to say, so she just says what comes naturally to any American citizen who has seen law and procedure represented on television from an early age. "I think I should call my lawyer." It's not that she thought Doug Mann himself would show up, but when she called Dyer, Garofalo, Mann, and Schultz, she didn't think she'd get some preppy, goody two-shoes, little stuck-up paralegal. If she had wanted Doug Mann, of course, she'd seen him representing the firm in television commercials for years, but she at least wanted someone who wasn't pissed off at the idea of representing her. "We are injury lawyers, ma'am. We don't do this kind of work," the little bitch paralegal squeaks out with her tits pushed together and her hair pulled back in a working bun. "I understand that. I don't know why I called you, but you're the only law firm I know. Can you please just help me figure this mess out? I really need a tiger on my side," Christine says, hearkening back to the firm's classic catchphrase. The paralegal could see the desperation in Christine's eyes and, for whatever reason, took it upon herself to believe that Christine truly didn't do this crime and could absolutely get out of this. "I think I have an idea," the paralegal says as she leans into Christine's ear and whispers the plan directly to her. Christine's eyes light up in fear, flash sadness, and then sink into a pit of desperate calmness. She knows that she must follow through with this plan to save herself from getting prosecuted and possibly killed. If Mershon really was involved with the cartel, there's no telling what could happen to her if she gets caught. "So, you're saying you didn't go into the vaults at all yesterday?" the sheriff questions. "No, I didn't go into the vault at all, except to do the nightly deposit, of course. But since that time, there were 12 hours when that vault was unattended, and there were at least 3 other people who had access to it. They are, and make sure you're writing this down because one of these guys definitely did it, Mark, the night custodian, Bill, the Brinks truck driver, and Janet, the other teller who was working that night. Any of them could be your guy, but not me. I'm the assistant manager of this branch, and I'm looking to move up." "I'd never do anything to jeopardize that," Christine says, hoping that she'd remembered everything the paralegal had told her. The sheriff seems pleased with the new information and exits to pass along the info to her cronies. Linda, her manager, seems pleased with her response and passes along a good word to her supervisor, Melissa. Janet went down for the crime, and Mark was fired as her co-conspirator. Using evidence planted by the paralegal while Christine was being interrogated, Sheriff Burchett determined that after Mark escorted Christine to her car, he snuck Janet back inside and helped her sneak into the vault. Christine was promoted to manage the South Limestone branch of PNC Bank, where she didn't deal with as much money, but when she did, she was sure it was drug money, just like Mershon's. Neither men whose accounts were affected that day were any the wiser. The man with the overdrawn account went on to overdose on heroin as the rise in heroin deaths in Clark County and Ohio continue to rise and Sheriff Burchett and Governor Mike DeWine do nothing. The account that sacrificed $450 for a few hours only suffered their electricity payment being delayed by 45 minutes, which cost them $22.40 over their next 3 bills. All in all, everybody won, including, probably, Sheriff Deb Burchett in 2020. End. All right, so I just got done recording that, and listen, I know there's probably some audio issues, but listen, it's the first one. There's probably nobody listening to this, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, or I don't want to say that. Anyway, so I'm going to continue to do these whether or not people are listening to it. But, you don't make things and hope nobody is enjoying it. So, you know what? After all, I am going to say it. I do hope that anybody that listened to it enjoyed the damn story. And if you're interested, there's a spiritual sequel that I wrote called, what's it called? Called Julie the Data Processor. It's a spiritual sequel, so I don't know when I'm going to make the next one of these, but hey, when it comes out soon, I hope you're looking forward to it. Tune in next time. I'm Zach Roberts, and I am okay.
Drink your prune juice, you old bat.